And this time around, you would like to hope that they've prepared, they've changed, they've fixed their mistakes. On the other side too, Mini, it wasn't the best split ever from Apex either against Heretics.
No, it wasn't the best, but it is Heretic, so it's like, where do you know, it's hard to gauge, because we don't know where Heretics are at right now. I like the comp from Apex, didn't like the comp from Navi last time, but I feel like that's just the common denominator at this point for this game.
I think Apex's saving grace is that they chose split into Team Heretics, whereas Navi, they kind of got forced into split because Fnatic chose it. So I don't know if it was one of those things that they expected to play last week. I don't know if it's a map that they expected to play this week. And yeah, it's just a question of, are they going to rejig the rules again like we saw on Lotus?
I definitely think they probably expected to play it this week just because of how weak they looked. Maybe it's a trap where other teams feel like they can exploit against Navi, but it is map 3, and this is where I start to get nervous for the players of Apex. I start to get nervous, you know, for the likes of Batu, who might not have been in this position many times before, but as we take a look at agent select, we're not going to get any changes on either side. And do you stand by that, Mini? You still don't like this Navi comp?
No, I mean, they can win this game for sure. It's not like it's an instant loss, but it's like against anyone who is able to adapt and able to game plan properly, I don't see the value of this composition.
I want to see if they've learned the mistakes that they had against Kayak's Yoru last week, because the amount of utility that one Yoru clone was able to bait out from Navi was absolutely ridiculous. So I want to make sure that they've learned those kind of lessons. And I think as well, like just looking at this Navi composition, we had so many times where Koala Noob would go into site and there was no follow-up on that attack. So he was playing very aggressive in how we would expect him to play this role, but we need Angel to follow up on that.
We do indeed, and we need him not to miss a single lineup. So let's throw this back over to your casters and see which team are going to come out on top.
Thank you very much, Yinsu and the analyst desk. Well, Billy really hit the nail on the head there as well, talking about the Yoru clone and how much value it was able to take out of the Navi setup. Also, just the sheer chaos that it was able to put in, whether it was destroying the wall. I mean, there was a round where Koala Noob had his ult on super early, and the second they heard steps, before the wall was even tripped, they had that showstopper activated with a 4-man hold towards B. They still weren't happy with it. I think the protocols were horrendous from Navi last time I saw them play this map, and I have to hope that has changed ever since. Certainly a wealth of opportunities to learn from the mistakes they made last time. Now they'll be put to the test to see if they've managed to learn from them. It'll be the attack side start, and I think it was the defense where they were being pushed and pulled around the map, so this might even favor them a bit more, getting to set the pace themselves.
Already. Very aggressive take in towards that side. It does seem like their opponents were setting up for the retake, attempting, and succeeding on a very aggressive response. Ruxic will manage to stem the bleeding a little bit, and in fact, extend things. I don't know if they're going to expect a over at the back of this side, though. Oh, it's checked, but not quite able to find that damage. Ruxic's doing absolutely everything. Back into the 1 versus 1, facing off against Governor. Well, that's one way to start a map.
Really nice and clean start from Ruxic. The rest of the squad fall and didn't seem to cause him any distress whatsoever. Shot after shot landed, and, well, you can't help but think the player on backside got a little bit lost in the sauce, looking for that second kill. But still, he capitalized on every single opportunity. And early days, pistol round, that's great stuff for Navi. The problem is, they haven't had a great success rate when it came to following them up. Now, Governor said every single time the force buys work, but I think that might be a little bit more so on the attack side. Here on defense, they'll play the classics.
You get a plant, you can rush together. It gives you a little bit of an extra boost. He's already going to be finding that early orb, and just kept deep. Again, like Navi playing much more of a default round, as the expectation will be to have those sort of aggressive responses from the defense, but in this case, they're just looking to try and stack up on B. I don't mind this. They're going aggressive into B main, but unfortunately they have got the complete wrong end of the stick. Angel even going to be clamping down on the position of Batu, who I think is still completely unaware how far they've gotten. The smoke has completely missed the mark. It is too late.
This should be an easy round from this point forward. Risks can be taken by Angel and Xiao. playing a little bit looser with the pistols and the light shields. And players with rifles very much wanting to stay alive, or at least have their rifle picked up if those pistol players are still alive. This play through spawn from Apex is nice. 3 players on their way. The problem is that setup that's waiting for them. Previously, Navi have tried, and maybe we'll see them again, I hope not, some silly walls. This one's a bit more conventional, and as soon as, well, I don't think Ruxic needs to be here, but I guess he really likes the Omen ulti. Looking to farm them up. It's a huge risk. I mean, if he goes down here, the rifle is theirs for the taking. Okay. Luckily, that's another 4K from Ruxic, so they will cement that. But it could have gotten a little bit shaky in the end. I'm not a fan of splitting up like that and giving those opportunities, but hey, 2-0 is 2-0.
Yeah, and an in-zone flawless. So keeping all of that weaponry over. Don't even have to buy any of the shields again. And although, yeah, I completely agree, the aggression is unnecessary. I think for Ruxic, it's more of just a confidence builder.
Sure.
Like, he has been having such a quiet game, so just wanting to try and get himself back in with some eco kills, fair enough.
Yeah, until he loses the rifle and it's a confidence destroyer.
There you go, so it's the right play.
Yeah, well, we'll maybe get you for the post plan with the coaches, and we'll see what we think about that. I'm not sure that everyone would agree, but Ruxic certainly would. He's got his ult online. A little bit of a recon for them. Conventional wall going to cover out B main as they play in the backside. Ult is used. This is what it was all about. He wanted those ult orbs. He got them, and backside control is theirs now. Rifles focused up to heaven, and these vines, such an annoyance. You can already see them spamming through to try to break them. But if they stay alive late into the round, that is going to be a big drain on the clock. A little bit of aggression from Navi, but I think it's all posturing. I imagine you'll see them fall back. Astra in an unusual position, staying aggressive underneath the boxes. They've got players on side ready for the fight, and Xiao tearing them a new one. A triple kill from the low HP Astra embedded on the box. It was a risk, but it paid off tenfold.
That's the thing, we know the level that these players on Navi can hit, and I think you go back to, again, just historic performances on this map, and it always was that attack side. I think Angel pretty much changed our view of this map after probably a couple of years of like, okay, we expect them to get 8 or 9 rounds of the defense, and then it was like every time we watched FPX play, they'd get 7 or 8 rounds in the attack, and we go, oh, and teams learned from them. So sure, some of the stuff they do is unorthodox, but this was always a map that they were very good at the defaults, very good at the sort of timing of execution, and sure, the pieces of the puzzle may have changed, but the leadership, and well, the Xiao Show hasn't gone anywhere.
No, the Xiao Show never ends. At least not so far. Valorant's history.
Like, 4 years, this is a long show. I hope there's an interval.
Oh, no, there's not. There really isn't. Not with this man. No matter where he gets put, what role he's on, he will deliver. 3-0 start for Navi and an opening pick here. Apex with a lot of weaknesses, and we do want to see exactly what's happening. Navi abandoning this play towards the A site, grouping up and moving as a unit, but Apex have made the read correctly. Look at the rotations coming in. The furthest player away is just now making it through to heaven. This is going to be a big stack up, and yes, they don't have the weaponry for it, but the element of surprise along with those weaker weapons could pay off. Fluorescent looking like she's in a death match. Beautiful double, but it will not be enough with Governor locked out of any pickups from those rifles or any real impact. Holding just that classic expectation, but holding the knife, expectations are even lower. No need.
Ruxic has been doing this all game. I think it's just the little bit of additional BM he likes to add in. He's 11-0 right now. Angel and Hero have just been spectators. Not really dying, only 1 apiece, but Xiao, Koala, and mostly Ruxic have been cleaning up the mess. 4-0 for the squad, and now the operator comes in for Fluorescent. We saw this in the first map. This was the difference maker. I do feel like at times it can be a little bit more difficult to get true value on this map. It involves a lot of aggressive positioning, and well, speaking of aggressive positioning, Koala has just taken an immediate fight. The paranoia popped within the first 5 seconds of the round, and that's already Molesy lost. Normally the most integral piece to this puzzle, the glue for the side of Apex. Already down.
And the player who went back into a corner like that when the squad comes at him, he tends to take down more than he really should. More than his fair share, but not this time. Navi standing with 5 still late into the round. And the pressure put into heaven. This could be a mistake. That it certainly is, as Fluorescent rounds the corner first. Ruxic, that's 11-1 now with his first death on the board. See if Navi can recover without him, because he has been the one to take it across the line in the majority of these rounds. And there's a lot of presence from Apex, especially with this ult coming through. That's confirming that the hit is on its way. They know about Avova. The TP coming out of the ult up top's being heard. Avova and Batu dealt with. They're ready for Fluorescent to be around here. Even still, what was that?
30 seconds left.
I can't believe I just saw that. Should replay that, maybe even now. Screw the round. 2v2. Shao, 32 HP. Tom, all thanks to Fluorescent, this is winnable.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to walk anywhere near. Don't even go near a wall that Fluorescent is looking at, because you might just fall. Gun barrel spotted. A 4th kill already for Fluorescent, and she will take over this round completely. To anybody who still has question marks of whether or not Fluorescent will be able to thrive in this league, just replay this round over and over and over again, and then proceed to shut your mouth.
Oh my. Nice kill on the Ruxic, sure, but this decent kill. This one! Get out of here!
I wouldn't even think to shoot at that part of the wall. Dear Lord.
Nice! What are you doing, Flood?
I cannot believe that. If this was online, I'd be pausing the game myself.
I do think
Get
that
the admins to check what's going on.
I think it's Batu and Governor are having a battle for who can make the highest pitch scream of the day.
Well, with plays like that, mate, I'm not surprised at all. Oh, that was sensational.
Blocking vision.
And the best part is, Governor's got the op this round. After what just happened, Governor's went, give me a shot.
Hold that.
Wow, that's really just blowing the wind out of my sails. I feel like I need a minute.
It's easy to forget that they're currently 4-1 down. Fluorescent has danced out of the way of that showstopper. Angel was patiently waiting for some aggression, and while Avova's doing fantastic work on the site, trading things out to leave them in a 3v3, but Navi still decent spot to play from. The drone is going to clear that backline. Again, it's actually going to be utilized, but it doesn't connect onto Hero at all. In fact, he's able to basically just sidestep the ult. Still, Mosey has been able to pick off Angel. That leaves the Spike in a bit of a precarious position, and the time is ticking down. Hero immediately going to utilize that flash to try and give some space. And the Apex players in the meantime have grouped up, but it doesn't matter. Hero will respond with a double. And what was a fluorescent blip has now stopped shimmering. It is another on the board for Navi.
Well, let me treat Navi with the same gusto I gave to Apex in that first map where I thought they were rolling. Right now, the only round for Apex is one of the craziest aces I've ever seen with an operator.
Yeah.
Certainly here on Split.
They ain't fuck.
Whoa, that was close. But for Navi, 5 rounds now, looking
fumbling.
good. Fumbling, yes, exactly. And that's what Apex may be doing. And I said, this may favor Navi more starting on the attack. I have questions around their defense, but if they're able to deliver like this consistently, look, 6 rounds now, and they have got themselves full control over the flow of this series here on the final map. They can keep this up. There's no doubt about it. Apex are in trouble. They've got a mixed bag of a buy, but the op back on Fluorescent, so it's anyone's guess where this one's going. But the Spike certainly going towards the A site, and it might find its way in for free. Is Governor? Yeah, he's not going to take the risk.
She's on the wrong side of the map, so there is a gate crash, but it's not even going to get her halfway. A free post plant. Nightfall 1 away. And the same for a couple of ultimates on the other side. Hero's lurks have definitely been causing them issues. Trying to clear him from mid has been troublesome. Some aggressive positions. Shao waiting patiently. Ruxic also on the cross. This time Fluorescent is caught out, and the rest of the team are a little bit, well, screwed is the word that comes to mind. Malzi now in attempting an ace of his own, a 1 versus 5. Even with a Rolling Thunder there, economy is in the bin, and trying to face back into the site seems like an impossibility, hoping to maybe clear some guns, but you have to bear in mind the economy for Navi is pretty damn good.
quite interesting this round that they've left Hero behind on mid to lurk, but they didn't put down the wall on B, so there was a free push for Apex through B main. And I have to wonder, because I've seen this from Navi before, where they just don't expect their opponents, especially to take the spawn flanks. I have to wonder if they're looking at Apex and just assuming that that kind of aggressive control won't go through, because Hero was leaving himself open to a backstab, and I have to think that he expected there's a good chance that backstab won't come through. Otherwise, the wall would have been there. And also, we see this from Navi a lot, where on some more direct plays, they will keep that utility for post-plant, but again, because he was mid, that doesn't really seem to be the case.
I guess also, I think it's potentially, if he does spot something, could just look to isolate those fights and literally use it reactively.
Yeah, we saw the round before, even in the 2v2 when he went up into heaven, and he took those kills to finish it off, right? While put him up to a 3K, or 3 pieces on the board. He still had the wall as well. So I think the post-plant util, and then they're keeping it for maybe, like, again, like you say, if they find that control over vent, or they find the control up in heaven and they want to rotate, you just pop the wall down, and now another avenue of their rotation is either cut off, or you've got huge info when they go for it. So you can make better decisions. I think this is a much, much better look, and Navi have clearly done their homework from the last time they played this map, where they just looked lost. Again, that was more defensive side, and maybe we'll see the same thing with the challenges against the Yoru there.
I think they've always been very good on the attack. I think it definitely helps when Ruxic is currently having an absolute game. 14-2.
There.
Xiao's up there as well. Yeah, you have to consider the last 2 maps. We've seen a steady improvement. 15 kills in total for Ruxic in the last already, as said, on 14. And we are looking at a very, very weak buy. And a spread out one at that. Defense normally happy to group up, commit to something together, go for a more aggressive push. And I think when you have ultimates online, well, that's not exactly how Avova was hoping that one would go. A chance for Koala to farm. With most other ults, either online or relatively close, him finding impact with this Outlaw is actually pretty important. Could allow for a showstopper.
Nice shot from Fluorescent. And maybe, you know, for Navi, sending a player out late towards this A side, it's definitely going to keep a lot of them in position. It does allow for a rifle to be retrieved by Fluorescent. Ult online. With Batu falling and the Viper's Pit not available for late round, it will be more difficult for players like Malzy and Governor to have impact, but Rolling Thunder alongside that rifle, if they decide to commit it, the round's not over yet.
I think it might take one more before that time already ticking. They are going to use the Dimensional Drift, so clearly an idea to find something into this round. They have got one connection off the back of that Nightfall, and it seems like they are going to set up that Rolling Thunder. They want to try and play for this round, and the timing of Floor is excellent. The aim not quite as clean as usual, but eventually she will get the job done. Another multi-kill that sees Apex bringing home around a heavy commitment of those ultimates. But it was definitely worthwhile for the pay save card Thrifty.
Well, it was, Tom, a huge risk indeed. Imagine this round doesn't go their way. They're now looking down the barrel of a 7-1 deficit, having invested a lot of ultis into a round where they didn't have a lot. And it's a risk. Many teams try it, and it doesn't work out. BBL will tell you all about that. But now, they've come through and found the value with it. And again, I think just belief in themselves in that moment, the recovered rifle probably helped them, and the fact that Fluorescent spotted so much on the site itself, and that it was an easy lineup for the Rolling Thunder. Everything worked out for Apex in that round. It's still 6-2 though. It's a massive lead for Navi. Ult used by Batu early on, and that's a lot of space usually denied. They're walking through the pit. This always makes me nervous against Batu of all people, but Ruxic claims the kill. They haven't cleared Malzy. He grabs one, and he's just shifting his way back across. Huge risk to spam with a Vandal there, but he did a lot of damage.
It's frustrating for Batu, but even still, they found themselves in a relatively decent position. That A site somewhat open for business, and Ruxic shooting anything that moves while connecting onto it. I think he's also spotted a player down at the bottom of mid, but the timing from Fluorescent could it be better? 1 for free, teammate to support, Koala already tagged. This is looking like a good opportunity to respond, but they have to be careful of the player up above. Already clearing out one. Governor on the site can only find one of his own. And now it's left down to the Clutch King himself. Avova, he's had a couple of attempts, the paranoia through, and already the gun gonna be removed. It takes a bit of time for the Steel Garden. Luckily for them, Xiao didn't need that time at all.
No, he didn't. Right back to winning ways are Navi 7-2 in play, and it's that pick to open the round. 4 players walking through a Viper's pit. That is not a strategy that you see all that often. Usually the pick goes down and you go a different route, but they committed to it. And Ruxick really has been the star of this show. Fluorescent, even with the ace under her belt, Ruxick's 2 4Ks back-to-back to open the game. He's 15-4 at the moment. Although, almost more impressive that Xiao is hot in his heels.
I was going to say, I think if you're going off impact kills, Xiao is probably the best player on his team. I can't get over what we've seen from Fluorescent so far. Already, another setup that revolves around forcing these players off angles. You can see Xiao hightailing it to the other side of the map. Maybe would have stayed and fought, but not for that spike. The interesting thing, though, is that almost switching of roles. That Heaven spot is definitely something they'll be aware of. The double controller now taking Heaven on the other side of the map. And I'm very curious how Navi are going to piece this one together. Are they going to meet up in the spawn?
Well, I mean, the big problem with that wall going down with the walkabouts coming through. The fact that you've got a player wrapping around,
they're walking back into
but
floor.
then the spawn wrap up goes in. I mean, Apex have got to be lost. Where have these players gone in their mind? Maybe they're sitting middle, maybe they've moved to Heaven. I think you just turtle back to whatever space you can hold on to, and the problem is Batu looking the wrong way. It is confusing, but I can't blame Batu for that. I can't blame Apex for losing track of how this round was going, because this is a bizarre way for it to unfold. Ultimate sent through, Avova had a gap, but Ruxick managed to dive onto him before that became a real problem. 12 seconds and a plant's coming down. It still hasn't gone in thanks to utility in the other direction, and players are only now moving through middle to get back. This is a crazy round, but one that Navi somehow seem to have found control over. A 4v2 post plant. With the economy being where it is, up in play, I think this might be save territory.
Possible to get a pip of Mini's anger levels. Because I don't know how I don't know how I feel about this round, but I really don't know how he feels about it, because there was like a gap that was seemingly well aware of from Apex. Is this the pip of Mini's anger levels?
Mini's looking good. I like what he's done with his makeup.
Well, a little bit green, maybe a bit ill.
It's the lighting. It's the lighting. Don't worry, they'll fix that up.
But yeah, it seemed like Fluorescent was well aware of the gap because she was consistently watching towards the spawn. Ruxick was even seen within her crosshair, and then Batu seemed completely unaware that someone could come from behind him. So I think there was either a gap in communication, because one player was clearly well aware that there was a player in spawn. I want to say that's straight BS. That's a one-shot kill, because I don't think that maybe that was the other thing that was weird. There was a seize thrown into the backside and a nade not thrown into the backside. So I don't know if he thought that both of them had gone there and that player had to be low. But it was very odd that the nade just went somewhere completely different to where Avova was.
There's a lot that seems strange about that round. For Navi, 8-2 in the lead, knowing their potential weaknesses on the defense, and no doubt Apex have looked back at that matchup they've seen, and bringing this Yoru in as well even further confirms it for me. They know the weaknesses to Navi's defense. 2 rounds on the board, it won't be enough to capitalize. Fluorescent opening pick, a big player to take down in the form of Ruxick. And the walkabouts to the A site. This has been a slow start for Navi with no control on this side of the map. A part that Apex have pushed up in quite a bit. That's why you see Hero clearing down below. They're checking everything.
Are they going to Cosmic Divide it? That's the question. I wonder if they're just going to try and section off Heaven and have the freebie in towards the site. still have it in his inventory.
Yeah. It's going to be placed for the Heaven walk down, but they're keeping control over Heaven. Sort of doubling up on the security of that utility. Oh, okay. Clearly not expecting Koala Noob to be that close, but the punish comes in nonetheless. And Batu's able to upgrade to a rifle. That's a great start for Apex.
Back into slightly more passive positions. The siege from Angel thrown out to Heaven to just try and delay. And there's that Cosmic Divide. The wall has also now been placed over towards the stairs. It's all about just delaying, slowing, making this retake a lot more awkward. And then Xiao just lurking on the edge of the smokes. His timing needs to be sublime. And while it seems like him and Hero, alongside the leader, have combined perfectly within the chaos, is where Navi seemed to thrive. And considering they were a player down in that engagement, they come out quite clean.
Yeah, well, they certainly made the end of that game look clean. This opening pick from Koala, I didn't really expect, putting us back even and then being traded right back up in Heaven. It was good space for Apex to have. Who are they? Apex to have. In the end, this big brawl on the site.
4 of them. But like,
Are you calling them Apex because there's only one player on the server for them right now?
Catch them.
Wow, what happened to you? Are they putting your teeth
I don't
in
know,
it?
I feel mean today. I think
I
you
can
started
tell.
it by bullying Hype, and then I just decided to join in.
One comment about Hype.
Yeah, so
made
you started it,
Okay.
and then I joined in.
I hit the first domino. I'm
Exactly.
sorry. I brought this upon everyone. We had Angry Angel on the desk earlier. We got Angry Tombiz just on the cast. All day long. 9 rounds, so, and this, look, any doubt I had about Navi, and let me tell you, I had a lot. It's sort of being dispelled by this. This already 9-3 is going to be a really tough scoreline for Apex to come back from, even if they can manipulate Navi in the way that we saw Fnatic do. For the defensive side here, though, putting the round on the board is essential if they want to have a chance. Fluorescent with the ultimate and a judge, it makes me scared. Scared for Navi. Here we go.
Go hunting. Normally this is where you see the stun come out from Molzy, but they're falling far enough back that connecting that stun may be difficult. Angel's gone full sprint up mid to try and find the gap, and instead has met Batu. Showstopper, there's a lot of players around here, and the flash is good, but he just predicts where Batu's going to be. It's been a bit of a cursed game for the Viper player. Vova needs to win this battle, and it's a bit shaky, but the job is done. Molzy in combination. The judge looking to get up in the face as his headshots, but barely any bullets, any of the shells connecting. But the time is ticking. 14 seconds, trying to bait them in. Trying to give that little bit of extra space. Koala wants to take that fight, and I think there may be at least one more. A curse is what Apex have on their side, because Navi end with 9.
9-3. They came in with question marks around their split. I wasn't looking forward to seeing it, but this attack side may just have set them up for a recovery in the imagery of this map. We'll see how the second half unfolds after the break.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Back, folks. Navi leading 9-3. It's been a very strong display from this squad. for Apex, picking up 3 rounds, one of which was an ace from Fluorescent. This map hasn't seemed to have really gotten off the ground for this squad, but here on the attack, coming into this matchup, is exactly where I expected them to put up rounds, mainly because Navi struggled so much before. But Tom, already it looks like they've come in using that loss the other day as a learning opportunity.
Yeah, last time out it was a 6-6 half on the attack versus Heretics, and then only 2 rounds on the defense for Apex, so they do go into what seems like their favored side, but it just seems like so many individuals confident over on that Navi side. Ruxic having his best performance of the day. I think Xiao, he's been pretty good in the last map as well, but I'd argue this has been better. Batu with a nice start though. Koala out of action, and oh, it seems like Avova's going to double up himself. This pistol looking inevitable. Unless we can finally see that ace out of Ruxic, but with 47 HP, Mitch, even I'm not a believer in this one.
No, listen, he was lights out earlier on, but this should be too much, and Malzy confirms that it will be. A much-needed win in the pistol round for Apex as they trail now by 5, but the distance can quickly start to close in. For Navi, no choice.
Bro, 15-9, bro. Can we give her some help? Me too, man. That's not good. Come on.
Well, you know, Governor, not afraid to call it as it is. I respect that.
Oh, God. I think, I don't even know if I need to say by the end of the season, but maybe just by the end of the week, I think he's going to have my favorite comms across the board.
100%.
So brutally honest.
I'm becoming a big fan of Governor on the server and certainly off it as well.
I'm glad we can display some more of the personality. Because again, it was a bit of a risky pickup based on previous successes, changing roles as well. Something I think we knew he'd be capable of, but there'd be a lot of expectations. A bit of damage. In fact, 2 players incredibly low. Governor and Avova on just 7 HP. This could be 2 of the heaviest assists we've ever seen, but Avova still going strong.
So much damage done, but it just doesn't seem to matter. Navi unable to finish their dinner in a lot of these bite-sized battles. It's Apex coming ahead, 7 HP on 2. Hell, I think the shorty could get them from here. The opportunity certainly not coming his way in droves for Xiao. Be patient. Even going down for the spike here is fine, and if that patience results in a mistake being made on the other side, great. There's one, and almost 2, desperately close. The first cleanly on the head of Malzy at least adds some cost to this.
Yeah,
in terms of shields and so on, there's going to be reinvestments.
Not really the end of the world, and it seems like they're going to come in with a lot of rifles for this one. I think Apex probably also realizing that a break back here would put Navi on double digits, set them up nicely to move forward in this match, and I think if there's going to be a response, they need to break back early. The same can be said for them in terms of this group. There are a lot of heavy hitters. So either team taking a victory. Sure, it's come down to map difference, etc. But I think for either side, just getting on that board, even a couple of wins, depending on others' results, could be enough to make it into the playoffs. Although I'd say, depends on expectations. For Navi, playoffs would be the start. I think for Apex, they are taking it one step at a time. Malzy with a good clear. That was a aggressive position, but it does seem like, but we go back to Haven, they're being caught by stuff like that, so they have been learning as they go.
I like the setup as well that Heroes put in. The wall and vines on B is just a great alarm system, but also a slowing effect with those vines once the wall gets tripped, and then he moves over to A. He's got a flash that's now going to need to be used with that pickup from Batu. And indeed, it will be beautiful stuff from Hero finding the kill. But it's the other side of the map where the test is about to come in.
That's the thing, this is a full buy. The first couple of kills that came through
30 seconds left.
definitely seem more awkward. Now, normally, I'm absolutely fine with that wall being activated and baited out, but the problem is the amount of time. 20 seconds left on the clock for them to try and make a move into this site. This is starting to get a little bit shaky, but Xiao being cleared with ease, and Angel needs to get something done. It will be the double up. Now left on to Molesy, just 8 HP, and you can see Angel almost just running it down. The IGL has had a desperately quiet series on the scoreboard, but the fact is that round was all about him.
Yeah, even the C's that he puts through, it delays them further. It makes that push a bit more frantic and forces the last player to just go for the plant. That double kill there, though, his third piece of the round, followed up with a fourth. Wonderful work. And again, a lot of it comes down to the C's that went in, sure, but the wall that was in play. Again, we see that Apex are looking at Navi, seeing those weaknesses. You just send the decoy through, but the problem is it comes in so late in the round that then the Vines and the wall, they serve their purpose of running the clock down lower. We'll see them hopefully look to get rid of some of that util a little bit earlier, as now the wall shifts up to middle. And this is, I think, the more common spot for Vice players to put that, just replacing a Sage wall, but lasting all round. And if they don't come close enough to it, flying under the radar. So you get control, and your opponents don't even know you have it.
Seems like this time they're gonna go a little bit earlier, or at least try to bait out any of that utility. Problem is, it is not there. I think a lot more dynamic from Hero in his placement of these walls, making sure that a lot more difficult to try and predict, and if there was a walk up into mid,
Poison's off.
that would catch anybody lurking, or in this case, just the original take. It does seem like, though, instead, that clone is going to be the one to activate. But again, I'm looking at this clock. Okay, sure, we're only at that 40-second marker. But right now, there isn't any ground that's really been garnered. And when you know that your opponent has these vines that can desperately slow you down, I feel like you need to be a little bit quicker.
Yeah, no, 100%, but at least now they're moving through avenues, coming through heaven where those vines won't block them. We saw them B main and A main, already triggered on B, now triggered on A, running down the clock lower, stopping Batu from joining the rest of the squad. He's boxed out for now. Ruxik's crossed for free, and the reset is wonderful. Batu only now making it in. The paranoia perfectly timed. Either gets caught by it or the round is done and dusted, and with the spike up in heaven, it was already cemented in favor of Navi. Again, this setup was causing so much trouble for Navi, where Fnatic were using it to play them like a fiddle in their rotations. Their map controlled free info that we saw this round till 40 seconds on the clock wasn't there. It was challenged with like 20 seconds gone off the clock. Yeah. And that left them then spiraling late round, always having to have players committed to those angles. There would be baits on one side or the other of the map, getting those vines up early, but once you have them online late, well, we've seen the impact now. This setup has to be challenged, and Danito and co, that's probably what they're talking about here. You gotta remove that utility and that free info from the Navi defense early on.
But that's the thing, like, you can have a lot of that Vice util gone because you have that double control. Like, you can smoke, you can paranoia, you can have the stun, you grab well, whatever you like. You can also still get info from Angel's utility. That's the way this composition is going to work. If you allow them to have everything until 40 seconds, okay, sure, you got rid of the wall, but all the vines are still there, the stars are still there. Even the haunt will come back online, so they can get that information, and then you're running into things blind. Maybe literally in some cases, because you haven't got rid of the rows either. And that's such a huge problem when going for those execution. Those vines were up. Like, how is it with what, 15, 20 seconds left, that Ruxik could TP back into the site? Like, that shouldn't be possible. There should be someone there to stop him.
And there was. That person was Batu. But again, those vines were there. They stopped him. He could have. You run through it, you ain't gonna get on very well. You stand on the other side and your teammates have a bad time. That is something that we need to see fixed up. But the other thing, and you mentioned it earlier, Tom, at Hero 7 and 8, but his impact on the server is, you cannot understate it. And I think the thing about him is he's being so diverse with where this utility is being put into play. He's not at mid at the start of the round, so he won't be placing the wall. You know what they do instead? They say, okay, Apex, they might try to get rid of our wall. They might walk up and jump through it. They might put a decoy. You know what we'll do? We'll put 3 players there. We'll react aggressively and take that fight right to them, but that's what Fluorescent does best. Eliminating Angel, and the stun will get them up into heaven.
Dimensional Drift immediately activated. They want to try and capitalize off this, but they have not seen Xiao. Xiao is the one underlying factor that they have completely negated. Already 1 to his name, still at the back of this site, looking for a little more. Will get isolated, but the time that was bought was enough. That was the spike on the deck. Koala with a huge triple of his own. 12-5. Navi don't look like they're slowing down. And what was a very shaky map 1, a map 2 that almost slipped away from them. In map 3, well, it would take 7 rounds in a row for Apex. And I'll be honest with you, there has not been anything in this second half that makes me think they'll get there.
I think we even saw the improvement, though, from Lotus, from the end of Lotus, not so much the start of it, but it was a much better performance from Navi against an actual comp, not against a Harbor comp. So that's already a step up. Then they take 13-11 on Haven with a very impressive map, but here on Split, where they suck. I mean, I can't say it enough. I hated watching their Split last time around against Fnatic, but this, I mean, it very much just shows as well, though, if you have weaknesses, a team like Fnatic will exploit them. I think for Apex, that is definitely holds true at times, but this time doesn't seem to be the case. But I would put that down to Navi really minimizing their weaknesses, really learning from their last loss, and now 7 opportunities to close this out, starting out with a pick on Malzy, eliminating the Rolling Thunder, and even Ruxic there dodging the flash. Won't go for the further fight on mid, though.
I think the other thing is just because you look weak versus Fnatic, doesn't mean you'll look weak versus others. A depth of talent within that roster and new coaching staff. These seem to do the trick in week number 1. Batu's done well. Managing to isolate Hero. Ruxic also desperately low on HP. Shouldn't get anything here. Almost gets away with 2. That is far more damage than expected. An immediate rotation from Angel. Well, that's not gone to plan. All the players over on the Apex side taking damage. Koala does have the ult, but the problem is the showstopper. He wouldn't be able to take a single bullet and has gone on the full rotation in from behind. Probably just going to try and fire this in from a distance. Maybe even waiting for an extra piece of utility from Angel. A single kill from him will also get that Nightfall online and could give the game away.
Usually I'd question if the ult is used here, but I think 12-5, there's a very good chance. Koala's on the walk up, low HP on Batu as well, but a headshot delivered. The health didn't matter, not at that range. Apex maintained control, and with Koala down, without a showstopper to work around as well, you know, 2v3, maybe that's where it would be deployed. But with him being the one to fall, there's no choice for Navi.
Yeah, economy as well.
Save.
You have a couple of players that can purchase and probably maybe even drop one over, but you don't want to have too many weapons thrown into the dirt. I also do wonder if the timing there was just a little bit off. Like, I think Koala wanted to try and be sneaky, but just after he peeks, they throw the Haunt in, which Batu has to shoot. So it could have been just slightly more synergized, but hey, they're not going to mind too much. 12-6. Showstopper still available. Koala's now going to invest into that operator. I think he's had a lot more success on this defensive side, but still has quite a lot to live up to if he wants to take that #1 operator. I think Fluorescent might be making a claim to that after what we saw earlier. Even still, though, that was the start of what is an incredibly long journey back for Apex.
Indeed, yeah, it is. Marathon from this squad needed. One stumble and they will fall. It's not going to land.
It did, it was a leg.
He ends up going down. You're right, yeah, Malzy went down to 5 HP, but still, he's the one to fire right back, take Koala Noob out, eliminate the off, and eliminate the showstopper. Another big danger dealt with.
The difference would have been the loss of supportive utility and a Rolling Thunder, and instead it ends up as the loss of an operator and a showstopper. That fight is probably far more valuable than many will realize. Again, though, it's going to be a long rotation back through the spawn. Fluorescent, obviously, you can see her going back in the other direction, but does have a gate crash, which will mean she can quickly join up with the team. The scary prospect is, though, they are walking into what is pretty much all of the utility. Vice set up, Xiao as well with some utility of his own. He's been playing off angles the entirety of this game. Fluorescent is going to attempt to try and bait this one out, but with nothing else being spotted, this could be a problem.
Even Rolling Thunder, look at the response. They've put up the vines and then have Xiao playing inside the smoke. It's a nasty spot. Ruxic on the backside, 14 seconds. The plant very much needed. And they throw themselves at Ruxic. He throws them in the trash. 13-6, a dominant conclusion to this series. Navi came in looking shaky, but they go out standing tall.
Yeah, it was a must-win match for them, and after map number 1, I believe their map choice as well, we definitely started to question what we were going to see from this squad, whether they are here to play in EMEA or maybe if they were going to fall out bottom of this group, but showing that there is still some level, especially on split. And I think the step up from Ruxic and Xiao especially made things exciting. We've seen them run this double controller comp quite a bit, and it's definitely missed a couple of times, but here, Ruxic was fantastic. Xiao definitely had his moments. And well, they now take their first victory on the board, an important one at that.
Absolutely, 0-1 is for both teams coming in. Now Navi set up in a better position moving into the next week. We talk about the stakes, and for Apex, obviously elimination from the league looms over them, but for Navi, this is a squad who come in with high expectations. The org that they represent shoots for the top, and they don't accept a miss. Today, it certainly wasn't that. A much better face from Navi. Now, it's time to go over to the post plant. We've got Yinsu and Mini joined shortly by Angel and Happy.